The general reception to Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin has whipped me into a depressing frenzy. I feel like a disheveled guy on the street with a cardboard sign hanging from my neck, raving about how the aliens are infiltrating our government or something. The game is so good. Why can't people see what I see? Why can't I convince any of my friends to play the game with me? I feel like the general gaming public has kind of just bounced off of Stranger of Paradise. Large gaming content creators did like one stream or one video on the game and moved on. Even those that actually beat the game sum up their thoughts as, yeah, it was alright, bosses were pretty fun I guess, everything else was meh. Stranger of Paradise reviewed on average as a 7 out of 10 game, and honestly, as a full package, I can't really argue with that. However, the combat alone makes me a staunch supporter of this game. Everyone says the combat is fun, but it's more than that. It's incredibly fun, extremely fun. It's punishing, but rewarding, satisfying, intricate, and creative. Stranger of Paradise sports god-tier level combat, among my favorite in all of the video games I have ever played. It has some of the beautiful freedom of expression that games like Devil May Cry have, what with the absurd variety of abilities, spells, and classes there are. You're even encouraged to swap classes mid-fight frequently, effectively doubling the colors on your palette of destruction. It has the brutal but fulfilling qualities of games like Nioh and Monster Hunter, where enemies can kick your ass and likely will at first, but with time, you become more familiar with your foe, allowing you to counter and dismantle your opponent with astonishing speed and style. The break gauge system is such a thoroughly pleasing way of rewarding aggressive play and mastery of the game. It results in exponentially quicker clear times as you improve, in a way serving as a tangible indicator of the progression of your skill. You can go full Sekiro and parry your opponent until they break with the soul shield. Choose how much you engage with the unique mechanics. Do you utilize Lightbringer mode and soul shield to their utmost potential to destroy break gauges and get executions early? Or do you stick to the more traditional method of evading and chip away at their health? You can mix in attacks and dodges and chain abilities and spells as you please. Discover tactics to counter specific bosses, like using your enemy's own spell against them at the perfect time to destroy all their clones, or focusing and destroying specific parts of a beast's body to severely inhibit its moveset and tear a chunk out of its break gauge, or finding out that a specific move whiffs if you're close enough, leaving room for a level 3 greatsword charge slash. Then, once you finally overcome the boss after dying, retrying, and struggling for however long it took, you are treated with a deeply visceral animation where you pound your nemesis into a pulp and watch them essentially burst into confetti to celebrate your achievement. These executions are the victory lap, the award ceremony, retribution and gratification given physical form. I find it difficult to get actually angry at bosses because every death means I get another chance at killing the boss more cleanly and more quickly. I'm able to tell quite clearly how good I am at a fight based on how fast I deplete the boss's break gauge, and it's an amazing feeling to progress in this manner. I have seriously considered letting a boss I've beaten recover their break gauge, get up, and kill me just so I could do the fight again. That's how good the combat is. The enemy variety could use improvement, but even while I might have killed the same guy 5,000 times, I'll gladly kill him 5,000 more, because decorating the scene that is him getting mercilessly beaten down can be done so many different ways. It never gets old. I've made a video dedicated solely to Stranger of Paradise's combat before, and I might make more in the future. There are so many different aspects to the combat, so many different angles to approach it from that I cannot cover in this video alone. I understand the game is not for everyone, and that it's nowhere near perfect. Almost everything outside of the combat could use improvement and reworking to be more gripping to a wider audience that don't want to stomach a meal of oops, all combat. People don't like the story and characters. The level design can be problematic, largely in part due to the lack of a map, among other issues. The visual presentation isn't as appealing as it could be. The mission-based structure could use a hub world or something to maintain immersion between levels, as opposed to the current implementation where you get booted out to what is just a big menu upon quest completion. And lastly, the progression system surrounding equipment isn't especially engaging. In fact, constantly spending large amounts of time fiddling with menus to parse through reams of mostly randomized loot seems to be widely disliked. Perhaps my perception of this is wrong, but adding the automatic optimize button doesn't make the equipment system fun. It just makes it bearable for most people. I personally feel crafting or finding static, unique pieces of gear that you can then upgrade with resources found throughout missions similar to Monster Hunter's structure is more easily digestible. But as long as Team Ninja find a way to get people excited by equipment instead of annoyed, any solution to the current problem works. They can even keep randomized loot if they improve upon it enough. Maybe I'm wrong and more people prefer randomized loot. My statement that the equipment system is widely disliked is based off of talking to people and some reviews and hearing content creators talk about the game, but it's not like I have actual statistics and a like to dislike ratio on my desk. Either way, the current systems and aspects outside of the combat don't quite seem to be good enough for the game to be a hit. It's clear to me why this game isn't an Elden Ring level smashing success, and that's before even taking into account the odd exclusivity deals and streaming restrictions that I'm assuming Square Enix pushed. There were like 2 different levels of early access, and the game isn't even on Steam at launch, so while I am not inconsolably upset and confused about why this game ain't doing massive numbers, I do crave desperately that Stranger of Paradise's combat gets more attention and praise. It's gotten attention and praise thus far, sure, but I think it deserves more. I want more people to check out and enjoy the thrill of this game's battle system, but I can't even get my friends to try it because they don't want to invest in what seems to be, on the surface, yet another mediocre Final Fantasy spin-off. The combat alone isn't enough to sell the game to most people. The rest of the game is actively hindering it, especially in terms of marketing and public perception or whatever. I don't know that we'll ever see a Stranger of Paradise 2, but I really hope that Team Ninja applies mechanics like the massive amount of badass abilities you can do and the soul shield and boss ending executions in their future games, at least in some way. They can even be adjusted to work as less significant side mechanics if you want to make the combat of future games more different from this one. Team Ninja seem to be consistent in creating outstanding combat that I enjoy dearly. Nioh and Stranger of Paradise both are incredible experiences of bloodshed, and I want to see Team Ninja's combat systems continue to grow, flourish, and find the recognition they so rightfully deserve. I want to see the systems outside of combat improved upon and totally reworked where necessary until Team Ninja eventually has their big game that rockets them into greater popularity. The way Monster Hunter World was a massive boon for the Monster Hunter franchise. There's absolutely nothing wrong with niche games, but it's my earnest wish that as many people as possible enjoy the exhilaration of Team Ninja's combat in games, and that Team Ninja are given the resources to grow and to make their games bigger and better. I'm really loving Stranger of Paradise as is, but I can't help but think that a Paradise would be a lot better with more people to enjoy it alongside.